Hi Earthlings, welcome. I'm Chelsea. This is my first ever video vlog, freaking going futuristic over here, and it is things I'm ready to tell you. So I have like my little list. If you see me looking down, I have Louie here too. Say, oh God, you shit baby. Okay, things I'm ready to tell you. I usually write blogs, but this was something I really wanted to share, and it just would have taken ages to type. I'm a pretty slow typer. I enjoy writing. I think I'm a pretty good writer, but I'm also terrible at typing. I always have so many, like, every word's almost underlined in red, and I have terrible grammar mistakes and spelling, and it takes forever to edit. I don't know why I don't know how to type. I am just as worried as you are, so things I'm ready to tell you. I've spent the last year really working on my spiritual growth, my emotional intelligence, and my intuition. I'm into really woo-woo shit. Especially just this last year, it kind of like went, whoa, okay, we're really into that stuff. Just the growth kind of came for me naturally when I moved to Australia last May. It just felt like this was the next step, and I've always been spiritual. I've always been into spirituality. I mean, I guess these days who isn't? But this last year really worked on my triggers. I mean, I really had a lot of stuff come up that was ancient, you know, that I haven't dealt with in like 10 years, and it was hard. It's been challenging, but with it comes like this beautiful just feeling of growth. It's kind of like peeling back the layers of onion, like onion layers, but like there's dirt in between each layer, and you have to kind of clean off the dirt, and then you're like, feel amazing after. So I've been feeling really good. I've been feeling really genuinely happy and safe and secure and supported. But there just was old stuff I didn't deal with properly. And so with that, I kind of had to dive really deep into my own responsibility as a human, and my responsibility for my emotional well-being and my actions and my thoughts and my words. And so that's what this last year has been like for me. And then last year, while Aaron and I, my partner Aaron and I, we went up to Byron Bay to pick up an RV. And so driving home, I was driving by myself. So it's basically how I learned how to drive in Australia. So you have like waves of the brain, and the alpha state is sort of like the meditative state. It's kind of like when your mind's really relaxed and you're kind of daydreaming. And a way to get into it, besides like meditating and doing other typical things, is driving. Like, it's really easy when you're going down a long stretch of road to get into alpha state. And I didn't know this at the time, but that's what happened for me. And so when we were driving back, you know, the front of my mind was focused on something, which was driving, so that the back of my mind could relax. And that's when it's really easy to get downloads. And I just, out of nowhere, got this download that I'm here to help people and serve people and share my wisdom. And it just came into me where I'm like, you just need to start your own business. This is what it's going to be. This is the formula. And this is what you need to learn in order to expand and grow and then help people. And I mean, if you guys have been following me on Instagram, but like a year ago, I was a surf photographer. I mean, I still enjoy photography, but I just sort of switched it. Like the very next week after getting home, I did all this research. I was so inspired. And I just was like, F it, I'm just going to start posting about what I'm passionate about now. And you know, what came with that was this sort of like, what are people from high school going to think? Like, is everyone going to think when I'm suddenly talking about this stuff? That didn't last that long. I think I just felt so secure in what I was meant to do that I was just like, F it, I'm just going to post this shit. And I got a really good response. It was amazing, like how many people reached out, and just over this last year of just like either ask for my advice, wisdom, help, anything, or just comment and been like, wow, I love this, like seeing this side of you. So that was a really positive change in it. That's where I am now. So in this last year, I've again been working with my spiritual growth. I've been really, and this is like saying this out loud, but I've been working and practicing with my psychic abilities and my intuition. And so I've always kind of had this like inner knowing about people. I didn't know what it was. Like, I just would know things, and I didn't understand that was like one of the clairs. So there's like clairvoyant, clairaudient. I don't have them written down, so I can't tell you all of them. But one of them is, and you can like text me if you know what it is, or I'll just Google it after. But it's just an inner knowing where, like clairvoyant, you see like an image in your head. Clairaudient, you hear something. Like for me, I just would know things, and I also just this last year started seeing like flashes of light. Like it would feel like there was either a presence or like someone took a photo. I'd be home alone, and so I kind of realized, okay, my psychic abilities, my intuition, my intuitive abilities are really starting to waken up, and waken up. And I think that came with just this next level I'm coming into, where I did, like I said, I've spent this last year really working on my growth and really taking responsibility. And so I'm sort of up leveling. And with that, these abilities, we're all intuitive. We all have these psychic abilities to see and hear and know things. And yeah, so I've just been really practicing with that. And let me see. And so yeah, like my friend Emily actually was really amazing. She sent me this book called You Are Psychic in the mail without telling me. I didn't really tell people I was working with my intuition or psychic abilities. You know, it's not, even though a lot of people are really accepting and it's pretty mainstream, it still felt weird to be like, yeah, I'm psychic in a way. You know, I don't see ghosts. I kind of too scared to see them. Like in my head, I'm like, frick, I'd really like to, just to see something would kind of make you trust more. But for me, it's I'll see images in my head. Most of the time I'll even just see words instead of like images. And then sometimes like there's been a couple times where I hear something, and it's not hearing like how you hear me speak now. It'd be more like the memory of hearing something. So if I say, hey, how are you, and then I ask you to repeat that memory of what I just said in your head, that's like clairaudient. You know, you're not like, there's not, I know for some people there really is something there talking to them, but me, I just hear the memory of words in my head when that communication's coming through. And so with that, I haven't used my oracle cards or my tarot card deck in like 6 months, if not longer. I used to use those all the time, every single day. Like I just would pull an oracle card. I'd be like, what message shall you have me receive today? Or what do I need to know about this? Whatever it was. And I think just now that I've really tapped into my intuition, I don't use them. I don't feel the need to, because those oracle cards, and I'm not above them. I might come back to them one day, but for me personally, this is my personal journey. I kind of had a safety blanket with them where I just needed answers for something, even though the answers were within. And you know, I'd pull a card and be like, oh yeah, you're so right. I do need to write, or I do need to do this. And at the end, when I stopped using them, it's like I would ask a question and shuffle them, and I'd see the card that I was going to pull, and sure enough, I'd pull that card. So I was like, okay, it's time for me to lean into trusting my own intuitive abilities and knowing that the answers are within, and trusting that practice. And so yeah, I don't use my oracle cards anymore. In this last year, another thing I'm ready to tell you is my dreams have been freaking wild. I've always been a pretty vivid dreamer, but this last year, it's like it's come to a place where they're almost like fortune telling, or like future telling rather. Like I had one dream which was really beautiful, was Aaron and I were sitting cross-legged, and I like lifted up my left hand, and there was like lightning bolts coming out of my left hand, and I just put it over his heart and did a healing on him. And so when I woke up, I felt really called to learn Reiki healing, which is something I plan on doing this year. And I also learned like energy healing comes from the left hand, which I've never heard before. I had to like Google like, what does it mean, you know? And I had an Akashic Records dream, which I'll go into later. But I mean, my dreams, like even a few years ago, like I had a dream that there was like a bowl of water underneath where I charged my cell phone. And so I was like, okay, keep my cell phone away from water. Like, got it, roger that. And then like I ended up dropping it in the toilet bowl anyways. So, and with that, with the intuition, going back to that, it's always been like I've been really close, but kind of no cigar. So one case I was really, really spot on. Like I remember this girl I used to know, or I guess still know, was pregnant, but we hadn't really talked in a while. And I just got this name in my head. a first name and a middle name. And I just didn't think much of it. And then a couple days later, she gave birth and posted on Instagram, like, welcome to the world. And it was sure enough the first name and middle name that had come to me. And a lot of times too, I'll like have messages where it's like, oh, so-and-so is going to be proposed to this week, but it actually ends up being her sister. Or so I noticed the reason why I wanted to start working with my intuitive abilities was I started seeing these patterns where I was so close. Like I wouldn't call up the chick and be like, hey, I know what you're going to name your child, you know, like that's weird. And same with the propose thing. I wouldn't be like, so I had a dream you got proposed to, because that might ruin it. And so I just started feeling not so much frustration, but just this idea of like, I'm really close with these things. How can I harness this power so I can actually focus on something specific, focus on someone and help them, not just get these random messages that I can't really do much with. So that's what sort of ignited me wanting to work with my intuition. I mean, it's like I remember one day I kept having this fear of getting a parking ticket. And I would check to make sure like the street signs were good. And like for 3 days, I was just like anxious about leaving my car on the street. And then a couple days later, I got a speeding ticket. And I'm like, fuck, that would have been nice if like whoever would have been like, hey, you're going to get a speeding ticket. But that's not how the messages come in. They're not like, yo, bitch, wake up. Like, listen to us. It's just something like that pops in so quick. And it's, think about your mind, how many thoughts and images and emotions you go through in a single second, you know? So that's what really ignited that of just, okay, there's something there for me. There's something really important and I want to focus on that. So it was really sweet when somehow my friend Emily Mearns got the message to send me that your psychic books. It kind of freaked me out. Because here in Australia, it can, if you want to order a book online, it can take a while because you get it from the UK and it's expensive. So it's not like Amazon where it's like $7, see you in 3 days. It's like $35, see you in 5 weeks. So when I got a book in the mail, I was like, I don't remember ordering a book, but who knows with here. And I opened it and it was like, you're psychic. And it freaked me out a little bit, but I figured out it was her. So that was really sweet. So another thing I'm ready to tell you is I'm actually pretty good at manifesting and using the law of attraction. We all should be, but it just was something that I started working with. And again, like I remember when I moved here, Aaron and I were talking about getting a dog, and we both really wanted a blue Staffy, which is like a blue pit bull if you're in the States. And but we also wanted to adopt. Like we could afford to go out and buy a Staffy. Like we probably wouldn't spend that kind of money on a dog, but we could if we wanted to. It was more like, let's adopt to, you know, help the animals. And so I was looking for his birthday, secretly looking at dogs to adopt, and obviously finding a blue Staffy in the pound is like unheard of. And I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if like this couple just bought a puppy blue Staffy and they were moving or something, they couldn't keep it. And 2 months later, this couple, sadly, through a friend, they were getting a divorce. They had just bought a blue Staffy and they just gave him to us for free. And that's Louis. So, and that only took 2 months. So I didn't realize I was manifesting, but it's just my frequency, my energy matched what I was calling in. And it wasn't like a need. I wasn't like, I need to get this dog for free. It was more like, wouldn't it be fun if that happened? And also just with manifesting, I made like my everything I want to manifest for this year, and it's June, and I think I have like 2 things left on my list of out of 20 that I've manifested already. And I mean, frick, I totally manifested Aaron. So, and that happened really quickly, and how I did that, I mean, that's another video in itself, but to call in Aaron, I really just told the universe, I'm like, I'm not gonna freaking settle anymore. Like, no more red flags, no more, like, I don't care if it's the tiniest little red flag. I don't care if I'm single forever. This is what I want from a man. This is what works for me. This is what I need in a relationship. And I'm not gonna settle if I meet someone and they don't meet those requirements. And I really just empowered myself with that. And then like literally 6 weeks later, I met Aaron. So it's sort of like the universe was like, yes, you are ready for this. And I mean, and with that came, like, I worked on my shit too. So, and also like a guy did come into my life in between, and he had one little red flag, and I was like, no sir, no thank you. And he was a nice guy too. It wasn't like anything bad. I was just like, this, I can see this not working for me down the line. And that was sort of like a test that I passed. So manifesting's actually become really fun. It's sort of like when you get in alignment, manifesting's really easy and really fun, and sort of like this little game you can play. And so with all of this, another thing I'm ready to tell you is I 100% have shifted my frequency. I've shifted my energy to like the next level. And with that, new and old people have come either into my life or back into my life, and their like frequency matches mine. So there's been a couple girls that I've known for years, but never really connected with. And now they're in my life, and it's like soul sisters, like 100%. And then there's also another few girls that I just met online, and we've done video chats. And again, I'm like, damn, what was life like without you, you know? So that's just a very clear answer to me that my energy, my frequency is definitely leveling up, because I have these people coming in that are so like-minded to what I'm into now and who I am now. And our frequencies match and our energies, and we talk about weird shit, and it's just people I really trust and love and care for, among obviously my other friends. Just want to give a shout out to you guys that you're still important and loved. And so I actually already went into this, but my friend Emily, who's one of the soul sisters, where it's like I've known for a while, but she and I just reconnected, and it's been like this really amazing friendship. So she gave me that psychic book, and it's basically a how-to manual of like how to use your psychic and intuitive abilities. It's an amazing book. I mean, I feel like everyone should read it, just so we're all on the same page of like everyone has these like so-called powers. And in the last year, I've had the Akashic Records come into my like, I don't know, frame, whatever. And for me at first, I was like, I'm into some weird shit, but that's like too woo-woo. That's some weird stuff right there. But it still kept coming into like my, you know, whatever life, and like through either like social media, I just kept seeing like little splashes of it. And I felt called to it, but also still like, this is too weird. And so the You Are Psychic book, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I am ready for this kind of stuff. And so the You Are Psychic book gave me permission to buy this book, which teaches you how to read the Akashic Records. And you can just Google the Akashic Records. I mean, there's not much. I mean, there's a lot on it, but they're pretty simple. It's not like Googling what is human design or what is astrology. It's just basically the Akashic Records are like Google for your soul. It's like past, present, and possible future. And you can kind of ask, like, similar to seeing a psychic, like, why is this experience happening to me? Like, who's this person to me? Whatever life questions one would have. And so, yeah, I bought that book, and I read it so quickly. I usually take like 3 months to read a book. I'm just very casual reader. I'll read like 4 books at a time. This book I read in 10 days, couldn't put it down. And I spent pretty much last like 2 weeks of April reading it, and then all of May learning how to open the records. And so going back to the Akashic Record dream, I had read the book and was just like, okay, this is really interesting and cool. And then I had a dream that, and it was so intense and so crazy, that I saw this book, and it was like outlined in gold, like writing, I guess, like light gold, whatever, and all the writing. But the book itself was see-through, so I could see past it, but except for the outline, and all the words were like in that gold light. And the pages were flipping, and I was trying to read it, and I just was like, oh my God, I'm in the records right now in my dream. Like, I need to get out. And I kept trying to wake up, and I could feel this like pressure back on my chest to be like, no, just stay a little bit longer. And my ears kept popping. In the book, I felt safe, but I was just like, I didn't want to be in the records in my dreams, because I was scared I was going to ask some weird shit. I don't know. And again, I just kept trying to wake up and eat. Have you guys had those dreams where like you can't scream or breathe, or you feel pressure on your chest? And I felt that pressure on my chest and in my ears, like I could feel my ears keep popping. And then I finally remembered the closing prayer, and I closed the records and woke up right away, and was just like, holy shit. Like the feelings and sensations I felt in that dream were it was very intense, very real. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to go into the records and see what this is all about. And so that was the first instance of being called to them. And I don't know if you guys know who Ashley Wood is of Manifest This podcast, but she's an Akashic Records reader. And recently she was told in a reading with herself that they want to be called the Pinnacle instead of the Akashic Records, just for her. And so a couple weeks ago, we were in Sydney, or maybe a month ago, and I was like, I really want to redo my website. Like, how can I like help people? How can I serve? Like, what do I need to do? And sort of asking the universe as I was driving. And then I drove by, and I've driven by this area all the time, and I looked to my left, like felt called to, and I just saw this store, and it was called the Pinnacle. And so that was another instance where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do Akashic Record readings for people. Like, this is the next part of my path. Like, everything I've done this year has led to this. And so basically this video vlog series is going to be about my time opening the records for myself and beginning to open the records for others, and what those experiences look and feel like, and kind of share my journey with you. So freaking stay tuned. That's all I have to say on that. Those are just the things I'm freaking ready to tell you, and everything this year has led to me going into the Akasha. So I will see you for my next video on what it looks like to open the records for the first time, or first couple of times. And the following videos will be just opening them for others and just everything else I've experienced with this. And that's all. Thank you guys so much for joining and watching or listening. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Bye.